Hello, Cousin Johnny here. We'd like to thank our sponsors for the Buzzin' with Cousins show. We thank you. Thank you, that garlic stuff. If you like garlic, you're going to love it. Put it on just about anything. That garlic stuff. Tuesday, Alvarado Farmers Market, or go to thatgarlicstuff.com. Thank you. Thank you, I Heart You Candles and Gifts. 222 17th Street, Pacific Grove. Beautiful hand-poured candles made with love. Go see Sherry at 222 17th Street in Pacific Grove. I Heart You Candles and Gifts. Thank you. Thank you, Max Fit Meals, 520 Fremont Street. Grab and go healthy meals. They're delish. On your way from home from work, go grab some, heat them up, and fantastic. Thank you, Suds Cyber Laundry, 709 Lighthouse, Pacific Grove. Great modern machines, big screen TV, coffee, and a great friendly staff. Thank you, Suds. Thank you, the Whiskey Club, 425 Alvarado Street. Over 600 whiskeys to choose from. Go on in, relax, enjoy a nice whiskey. They also have a bottle shop. It's great. Great place to relax and enjoy. Tell them Cousin sent you. Thank you. Bye. Thank you, sponsors, for the Buzzin' with Cousins show. We thank you. Hello, how's everybody doing out there? Cousin Johnny here. We got a great show planned today, and we're going to get right into it. And so Monterey is, as you know, famous for the great sardine era, the capital of the sardines, the gold era. But most people don't know, but there was another prominent fishery here during that time, the abalone fishing. And today we're going to talk about that. And I invited local historian Tim Thomas to enlighten us on the abalone fishing. And also coming up is the Abalone Festival, all things abalone, on July 26th and 27th at the Japanese American Citizens League over there on Adams Street, 424 Adams Street, across the street from the sports center. And that's going to be happening. So we're, before further ado, please welcome Monterey historian Tim Thomas. Tim, how you doing?
I'm doing good, Cousin Johnny. How about you?
Everything's great. And excited to talk about the Abalone Festival that's coming up. And I know it's going to be great. And before we talk about that, I know a lot of guests don't realize that when they think about Monterey fishing, they think about the sardines and those other fishery here. So can you enlighten us a little bit about the abalone, how it started?
Sure. So the sardine fishery, I'll say, was the largest fishery of single fish in the history of the United States, all for a fish that nobody wanted.
Yeah.
But the abalone fishery, and I've been doing this kind of work for well over 40 years now, and particularly in the last 20 years, I focused mostly on the Japanese abalone story. The abalone fishery, in my opinion, is the most important fishery in the history of California. It wasn't economically, but it most definitely is culturally and historically. And Monterey was the abalone capital of the world, and that goes back thousands of years. The word abalone comes from Monterey, comes from the Rumsen people, who were the native people of Monterey. They were the first abalone divers going to that bay. And we know that from burials that come out of the ground in recent years. And you can't build a house along the Monterey waterfront without running across a Rumsen burial or two. The males have what's known as surfer's ear, which is a little bony growth that goes to the opening of your ear. You're spending a lot of time in the cold water like the Monterey Bay. which makes a lot of sense. I mean, you see
Yeah.
an abalone the size of a hubcap, you're going to dive down there and get it. And they had a word for the red abalone, which is the largest of the abalones in the predominant abalone in Monterey Bay, and that word is Alun, Alun, Aulun, and then linguists have traced that word abalone all the way back to the word abalone all the way back to that word Alun that starts right here in Monterey.
Wow. That's great.
Yeah.
So, so how did they find out about the abalone? That someone just went down and said, "Hey, we got some beautiful."
Well, it was always here, abalone, again, just in the native part of it, it was very important, not just to the Rumsen people here, but native cultures throughout California. And they would come to Monterey, they would trade for things. They would often try to trade dances or songs so they could come and collect abalone. And then it was traded all up and down the California coast, and it would make its way all the way across the United States. So anybody remembers seeing that old Kevin Costner movie, Dance with Wolves, which is about Indians in South Dakota? If
Yes.
you watch the film closely, you'll notice a lot of abalone in the clothing and the regalia that they're wearing. As far as I know, there is no abalone in South Dakota. It's got to get there some way. It's going these trade routes where most of it, probably majority of it, starts right here in Monterey. That's where it's coming from. They have found abalone, red abalone in hidden sites as far back as Minnesota. So it's all coming out of Monterey Bay. So, but really, once Monterey began to be established, the Spanish were here, they didn't quite understand how to utilize the bay. They weren't using abalone other than the shells. They actually in the 18th century they allowed Russian hunters to come into Monterey to hunt sea otters. But they're also taking abalone. They took a lot of abalone out of Monterey Bay,
Wow.
deck
Great.
loads of it, which they were then taking up to the Pacific Northwest to trade to the native people up there for sea otter pelts. So oftentimes you see all that beautiful regalia, all that beautiful work of the Native Americans in the Pacific
Yeah.
Northwest. You'll see abalone inlay on all those pieces. Much of abalone comes out of Monterey Bay. So, but then when this became part of Mexico, they didn't understand how to use abalone. No one quite knew what to do with it. I mean, unless you're preparing it properly, it's kind of like eating a rubber boot.
Yeah. It
And
is.
so it was actually a guy by the name of Otto Sabaru Noda who came to Monterey in 1897, Japanese immigrant. Got a job working for the land arm of the Southern Pacific Railroad, the Pacific Improvement Company. They owned about 8,000 acres of the Monterey Peninsula at that time because they had a quirky idea they could turn Monterey into a tourist paradise. Who thinks such a thing? So
Yeah.
Noda was a labor contractor, and he was bringing in other Japanese workers to clear land, and he was supplying these workers with food and water and wood for their fires. And he was collecting wood near the Monterey Wharf one day. He just looked into the harbor and saw all this abalone down there, like so much abalone. He actually described it in a letter as being a carpet of abalone.
Oh, wow.
Because what are you doing with it? They just didn't know. What do we do with it? So notice on writes letter back to the government of Japan, say, hey, all this abalone here, nobody wants it. The government of Japan sends a guy by the name of Jinosuke Kodani, who was in the abalone business in the Chiba prefecture of Japan. Their family actually was famous in Japan for their salted dried abalone at that time. They send him over here. He goes, oh, this is great. Not only is there a lot of abalone, these abalone are big. So he sends back to Japan for abalone divers known as ama or free divers. In between that time, Noda goes down to what is now Cannery Row and leases a piece of property down there. If you know Cannery Row, that big empty lot that's next to the El Torito restaurant,
Oh,
which
yes. Yes.
put some kind of marketplace there. Well, he leased that piece of property and brought other Japanese fishermen to Monterey, created a little Japanese fishing colony on that site. Eventually, in 1902, he builds the very first cannery on Cannery Row on that site, Monterey Fishing Canning Company. He was canning abalone and salmon at that cannery, and also sardine. So Kodani sends for these divers. Three of them arrived in Monterey in October of 1898, along with Kodani's younger brother, Nakajiro Kodani, who was a trained marine biologist. And we know who these divers were. I've seen their passports. And they come also from the Chiba prefecture. They were picked up at the train station, taken down to Noda's campsite. The very next day, they were diving abalone out in Monterey Bay, honest style, little white, thin cotton outfits with a
Oh
pair
yeah,
of goggles that had pig's butters on the end. They would
I've seen that.
squeeze and reach the pusher. Yeah. These guys are good. They could hold the breath, some of them up for 8 minutes in the bay out there. But it was cold. Monterey Bay is not known for its warmth. And around the turn of the 20th century, they began to send for helmet divers.
Oh
And
yes, yes,
helmet divers began to arrive from Japan, and they began helmet diving. And as you know, most people know, the Kodani made his way around the Monterey Peninsula, ending up at Point Lobos about 1898, and partnered with a guy named A.M. Allen that owned all that property and opened the Point Lobos Cannon Company out there. It was secluded, and the big thing is it reminded them of home. It looked a lot like Japan, and I get that. I've been to Japan. I've seen it. Oh,
yeah.
it looks a lot like one of those. Actually, the whole Mare Peninsula does. So you get all that, get that connection. So
Excellent.
so they were drawing abalone. That's what they were doing with it because there wasn't a market for it here. No one wanted it. Although there were people trying to experiment with it, they used to pull out of the shell, they'd pour lies on it and stuff to try to soften it up, or they put it in burlap sacks and pound it till it was nothing but jelly, that kind of thing. But it just wasn't something anybody really wanted. But they wanted the dried product abalone in Japan. Dried abalone is very special in Japan, not just a food item, but
Yeah.
is considered to be good luck. Oftentimes at weddings or birthdays, especially at holidays and New Year's in particular, you'll get a card with a stripped dried abalone inside that card. So dried abalone is very
Oh,
important,
that's great. Yeah.
and that's what they're doing with it. They're shipping the dried abalone. But then in 1907, the guy named Popper and Stolter, a German restaurateur, came to Monterey with his large family, opened a little restaurant on Alvarado Street called the Cafe Ernest. It's sort of a European style, bohemian style restaurant where everybody comes and spend the whole evening in the restaurant. And believe it or not, people in Monterey at that time didn't eat a lot of seafood. Most of the seafood that was being caught in Monterey at that time was going to San Francisco. Um, but people did eat oysters. People loved oysters. And that was his main menu was oysters. But you don't get a lot of oysters in Monterey. And so the oysters are coming from the San Francisco Bay Area where there are oyster farms. Well, they had to come by train. Anybody know anything about trains? Trains have a tendency to break down, or maybe a cow on the track. Something will slow that train down. And oftentimes, Pop would go to the train station to pick up an order of oysters, and they would be spoiled. So there goes a whole evening of business, right? So if you're looking for something new you could serve in that restaurant, watching all this dried abalone leaving Monterey. Abalone, yeah, kind of like giant oysters. Brings it into his restaurant one evening, experiments with it, finally come up with a famous recipe. You slice the foot, because
Right.
that eating was the foot. It's just a big marine snail, right? And then you pound it, and you don't just pound it. There's actually a certain technique to that pounding. Then you ran the egg wash, cracker crumbs, and cook it up quickly in olive oil and butter. He cooked it, treated it like Wiener Schnitzel.
Oh
And
yeah,
soon,
yeah.
and
Delicious.
soon people came from all over to eat fresh abalone steaks in Pop's restaurant. They would sing songs and write posts like some folks boast the quail on toast because they think it's Tony, but I'm content to owe my rent and live on abalone.
I love it. Now, his restaurant was on the wharf or
Yeah,
near.
this restaurant was on Alvarado Street. If you there's a ice cream shop on Alvarado Street there on the new building that's there now,
Yeah.
and right next to the old bank that's now an antique shop. That's where it was.
Oh, okay, great. Yeah, and
Yeah,
I got a couple photos that I
yeah.
want to show, and
Oh, very good.
I'm having a problem with my computer here, but I think we could still work it out. So
All right.
I'm gonna show the photos, and then we'll talk about them. So on those photos, we've had Pop Ernest. They
Right.
had his chef outfit on. We had like a looked like an abalone like factory where the workers were pounding the
It's
abalone.
on the wharf. They're slicing abalone steaks. Yeah.
Uh, we also showed an abalone, beautiful abalone shell, which created some of the jewelry that I
Right.
just posted.
And the necklace, as I mentioned, was made by Linda Yamane. And it's actually now in a museum in Japan. That's where that necklace is.
And also, there was a can of abalone, and that was
Right.
scanned here and sent to where, Japan, or
Well, no, actually, that was well, it was yes. That so Kodani actually opened an abalone cannery at Point Lobos where they're steaming abalone in the cans. They cube it up and then steam it in the can, and it was being shipped to Japan. Although they didn't really want it; they didn't want the canned product.
yeah.
They were trying to sell it to the Western market. That particular can you see is actually was actually made as part of an exhibit I was a guest curator of in the museum in Japan. But I have it here on exhibit in our museum.
So that's really great, Tim, and I really appreciate enlightening us on that abalone
Yeah,
fishing. Now, coming up,
yeah,
we're gonna Abalone Festival. Everything
correct.
abalone. Tell us about.
So, so here's the thing.
Yeah.
So just to finish this up, because it connects to my abalone festival, right?
Okay.
So because of the recipe that Pop Ernest developed in his restaurant in 1908,
Yeah.
uh, and then eventually becomes known as the Abalone King, uh, um, because of that recipe, there became such a demand for abalone. By 1920, there were 9 full-time Japanese abalone canneries on the Monterey, or abalone companies on off the Monterey Wharf. In 1929, the California abalone industry brought in close to $1 million in revenue.
Wow.
75% of that was coming out of Monterey Bay by Japanese divers. And majority of the business on the wharf prior to World War II were Japanese owned. Fish markets, abalone processors, all because of that recipe that Pop Ernest developed. So we're having this abalone festival. And it really is part of a much larger series of programs that we're producing at the Monterey JACL because it will be the 100th anniversary of the building. The J was now the JACL Hall. The
Okay.
building opened on May 2nd, 1926. It was the Japanese Association Hall, right in the middle of what once was a thriving Japan town. And so we're going to have a whole series of programs between now and May 2nd next year to honor this. And starting with the Abalone Festival, because it was abalone that brought the Japanese to Monterey. It was
Yes.
abalone money that built this hall and built the Monterey Wharf. And that's why we're doing it. And to be clear, this festival is not just the Japanese story, but we're also going to have the Native American story, the Rumsen story. Linda Yamani and the Rumsen Ohlone community is putting on an abalone dance on Saturday afternoon on Del Monte Beach. And we'll have speakers. Sandy Lydon, historian from Santa Cruz, will be talking here. He'll be here giving a couple different talks, but one of them will be on the Chinese and abalone. In fact,
Yeah.
after Sandy's talk on Saturday afternoon, the Monterey Lion Dance Group is going to walk everybody from the hall to Del Monte Beach for Linda's abalone dance. And so that
Okay.
was going on. And there'll be films and all kinds of cool things. And then Saturday evening, at 7 o'clock, we're having a special program just that focuses on the white abalone,
Okay.
because the white abalone is actually on the endangered species list. It's the only mollusk ever put on the endangered species list. They're not found in Monterey Bay. They're found from about Point Conception down into Mexico, and they're pretty deep water abalones. But there is a big Monterey connection because the white abalone actually was discovered in 1939 by Monterey abalone Nisei diver Roy Hattori.
Yeah. Well,
So
yeah.
we'll tell that story of Roy, and then they're going to have the people from the White Abalone Project, which is a University of California project, where they're raising white abalones, and then releasing them into the wild to help that population to survive and to continue. So it's a really cool thing.
Wow. Sounds like a great event. And so, what are the dates, Tim?
So the July 26th and 27th, Saturday and Sunday.
Okay.
The day event on Saturday goes 10 to 4. And then the evening event 7 to 8:30, and then Sunday goes 10 to 4. All of it's free. There's no charge for anything.
Yeah.
Of course, donations will be kindly accepted. There'll be other folks there with information tables, like folks from Point Lobos and the Fisheries Trust, Kelp Restoration Project. Monty Abalone Farm will be here, so it'll be a lot of good information, a lot of good stuff going on.
Yeah. So if you're actually a history buff or a abalone buff,
Yeah,
you're in for a treat at the Japanese
yeah.
American Citizens League Hall on 424 Adams Street, July 26th and 27th. It's going to be great, and you're going to do a little talk yourself, right, Tim?
Yeah, I'll actually give a couple talks. So I'll do one at the beginning called All Things Abalone, and that Saturday evening I'll give a talk about Roy Hattori and his discovery of the white abalone, which is a really unique story, and should be. I think there's enough for everybody. One thing we're not doing, unfortunately, we actually can't serve abalone.
Yeah,
I wish we could, but that's just out of our budget to do that kind of thing.
a budget for
Yeah.
You're talking $1 million.
Yeah, we're talking a lot of money. So,
Yeah,
but
that's
maybe we'll encourage people to go down and try it themselves. So,
yeah. There's a couple restaurants that still serve it.
yeah, you can get from the abalone farm, and you can go to a number of restaurants in the wharf that serve it as appetizers or abalone soup and that kind of thing.
And Tim, there a lot of the restaurants that do serve the abalone are
Yeah,
using that recipe that you were telling, Pop Ernest recipes
right.
to this
Yeah, they
day.
do. That's right. That's you get it. That's exactly right. In fact,
And
I
a
work
lot
with
of
the music.
people,
Go ahead.
they started making. I remember I worked at a fish market, and they started pounding the squid and making
Yeah,
it abalone style.
right. The poor man's abalone. Yeah,
That was the same
yeah.
recipe. But
Well,
anyway, Tim, we're excited about
thank you.
you coming on today, and we're excited about this festival coming up. I mean,
Yeah, me too.
it's going to be really enlightening. It's going to be fun, and I can't wait to do it. So, Tim, appreciate you coming on,
Oh, you bet.
cousin. And as always, thank you so
Sure,
much for what you do in the
sure.
community and
Yeah,
keeping the history alive. Thank
that's
you.
what we do, right?
Yep.
Thank you for doing that.
Okay, Tim and cousin Johnny out, and
All right.
as we're going out, I'm going to put up a little poster of the event. Okay, everybody, thank you so much. Cousin Johnny and Tim Thomas, known as Tim Sardine, are out. We'll see you at the festival. Bye.
Thank you.